Hello and welcome to the North Coast Journal Preview, where we take a look at the stories being followed in the upcoming edition of the North Coast Journal. My name is Dave Frank, and I'm joined by North Coast Journal's news editor, Thad Greenson, and arts and features editor, Jennifer Famiko Cahill. Welcome, guys.
Hello. How are you?
Pretty good. We are reporting on the ongoing COVID shelter-in-place order, I'm sure. And also a few other things that you guys are covering this week. So Thad, let's start with you. What's the latest on our current situation?
Yeah, the latest is rapidly developing, but I think as we're recording this, in about a half an hour, the Humboldt County Board of Supervisors is going to sit down and hear a report from Public Health Officer Teresa Frankovich about kind of the state of our readiness and this document that she has compiled to send off to the state of California, attesting to our readiness to move faster in stage 2 of reopening businesses than perhaps other areas of the state. And really what the document is saying is that Humboldt County is ready to move at its own pace and doesn't have to follow the state's lead as far as what restrictions are lifted when in stage 2. And so the board is going to consider whether to send a letter supporting the doctor's opinion and findings or not.
So as we are recording right now, that's going to happen within about the next 20 minutes or so. They're going to start that meeting. And basically this would be an endorsement of Dr. Frankovich's proposal that we are meeting certain criteria that are outlined by the governor to go into phase 2. Like you said, do you want to get into a little bit about those requirements that we are saying that we're prepared to meet?
Yeah, so the state has laid out, I think it's about a dozen criteria that it wants to see from counties, and that they're pledging these things are in place, or these conditions are these are the current conditions, in order to give counties the okay to start, like I said, easing restrictions sooner. And so these include everything from just a detailed plan of how this is going to look in Humboldt County as far as what restrictions are going to be eased when, at the moment, at least their plan. And then also kind of the contingency plan of if we start seeing spikes in cases, at what point will we step back, at what point will we retool those plans. So it has kind of that component, but then it's also looking at concrete preparation benchmarks and whether they've been reached. And so that's everything from seeing whether skilled nursing facilities and hospitals have enough personal protective equipment for all staff. The state wants to make sure that all those facilities have at least 14 days supply on hand. And then on the other end, everything to whether hospitals have increased surge capacity to the point, the state wants to see a 35% increase. And so what Dr. Frankovich is, testing in this document is that those steps have been taken. And she says that all these facilities have 14 days of personal protective equipment on hand. They're working to get 30-day supply on hand. They have solid supply chains. So they're not dependent on the county or the state providing them this equipment. That local hospitals have arranged for a 35% surge capacity in their ICUs and their normal beds. And then we also have these alternative care sites that are being prepared that would provide another 100+ beds for more mildly ill people. So in the document, she presents that that Humboldt County really is ready to take this step. In our reporting and information that is just publicly available, it seems that there's kind of 3 gray areas, 3 criteria that the county, through one lens kind of meets and through another lens maybe doesn't so much.
And you want to tell us a little bit about what those 3 are?
Sure. Yeah, it's testing capacity. We have the surge capacity in our hospitals to make more beds for people. We don't necessarily have assurances that the workforce is in place, that if we need all those beds, we have trained people to staff them. And then the third one is just infection rate. The state it's the first criteria in this attestation. They want to see that counties have had no more than one new positive COVID case for every 1,000 residents over the last 14 days, and they can't have had a COVID-related death in the last 14 days. And so, just as luck would have it, Humboldt County had this large, long lull in positive cases. I think we just had a couple over, a 17 or 18-day period. But then right as county officials started working on this document and racing to kind of get it before the board and the state, we've had this recent spike. And so we've had 9 positive cases over the last 3 days, 9 positive cases since Saturday. And with a county of 135,000 residents, we don't have a lot of wiggle room on that. And so, as this meeting is happening, the county has had an average of, I think it's 0.81 cases per 1,000 residents over the last 14 days. But, we saw 4 positive cases on Monday. If we see another 4 positive cases today, we're over that 1 case per 1,000 residents threshold. So that, we're really close on that. Similarly with testing capacity, the doctor has pledged that we do have the volume capacity in place to test. I think it's 203 people a day is the benchmark that the state set. But, if you look at our testing average over the last week, we have not been testing that many people. At least we have not been seeing the results from that many tests. The most we've had is 205 yesterday, but I think we're averaging 124 or something over so far this month.
So big picture, we do have many of the requirements pretty clearly met. 3 of the requirements that you said are gray, with they're very close to. We've been meeting them, but like as of today, and then some small change possibly. So, for example, the hospital has the staff. Hospitals have attested. The county has attested. They have the staff. But if there were some surge, I think the threshold is if there's up to a 35% increase in cases, then maybe they'd have to reassign personnel and they'd have to recruit help from the community or from the state. So as of now, we are close. But if things change, if anyone dies, God forbid, or if more people start to get, even just a handful of people get sick, then we might sort of trip that wire of not being eligible for phase 2 reopening.
Right, and it's to be clear, it's a little bit unclear exactly how much authority the state wants to exercise over these plans. So the criteria doesn't really say that the state is going to accept or reject the county's plan. It just says the county needs to attest that this is the conditions, and then they're cleared to proceed. But in other counties, we have seen the state exercise more control. For example, Shasta County was okayed to proceed at its own pace on Friday. The Cottonwood Rodeo went ahead against all advisories to do otherwise, went ahead and held a rodeo on Saturday, maybe Sunday, I think. 2,000 people came, and the state said, not so fast. We're kind of revoking your privilege of proceeding at your own pace, and now you're back under the state's shelter-in-place order. So I think we're going to see a lot of push and pull as this goes forward about how much authority the state really wants to exercise over local counties.
Well, excellent. Thank you. This was really helpful and informative, and there's a few articles that have been coming out. I know you're keeping on top of it, so we can check the website and get the latest updates. Thank you.
Please do.
How about you, Jennifer? What's going on in Arts and Features Beat?
I have a kind of a surprising story. I've been looking at food businesses and how they're managing throughout shelter in place. And I guess the one piece of advice amid all these questions that I would offer would be, this is not a great time to open a food business. However, I could be wrong. In fact, I am wrong, because Chicago Dog House I couldn't resist. We call this story Underdog. Chicago Dog House, which is a hot dog stand, opened up in the middle of all this madness. And not just in the middle of all this madness. Carrie Dadigan and her fiance, Todd News, they kind of were dreaming of, after having finished careers in, hairdressing, which is not so big right now, and doing work at an electrical company, they decided they want to do something different. And they kind of dreamed about that old hot dog cart that used to be in Old Town in Eureka. And Carrie Dadigan, I spoke to her. She said she remembered people lining up for it. And she was like, oh, we should do that. That looks fun. And they looked around and they realized nobody's got a Chicago dog. Have you had a Chicago dog?
I have. I think they're awesome.
It's
A
kind
little
of
too much for me.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. I mean, Chicago's different. They do
Yeah.
weird stuff with their chili, but I digress.
And pizza.
Yes, they do things with their pizza that I can't fold it. I can't eat it on the street. Anyway, so the Chicago dog dragged through the garden with pickles and tomatoes and onions and everything you can throw at it, including a very blue-green relish that I cannot wrap my mind around. But I have a feeling I'm going to love it because I was anti-cheese whiz on a Philly cheesesteak, and they got me eventually. So anyway, it's this very specific kind of authentic dog that has its roots in the Great Depression. So it's timely. They were like, let's try it. And then as their paperwork came in and as they got their commercial prep kitchen together, COVID locks down Humboldt. And they were like, but we've got this maybe we can't go downtown. Maybe it's too empty. We can't be on the street selling hot dogs, even though takeout is the name of the game with a hot dog stand. They thought, maybe we'll just stay here in front of our commercial kitchen and just plant ourselves right in the grass patch outside and open up. And it was working out. People were coming by. And then it turned out that where their commercial kitchen is, Redwood Acres, becomes the COVID testing site and also becomes the 100-bed surge facility to treat mildly ill COVID patients. And they're freaking out. They were like, this is terrible. People are not going to come down here. But in fact, what happened was it drew traffic. Everybody who worked at local hospitals and whatnot had to go and they're still getting tested for COVID as part of the soft launch for the testing facility. And everybody saw the hot dog stand, checked it out. Even, people who came in to monitor the prison worker crew that built the 100-bed surge facility, all these people saw it. And then word traveled. Everybody in all the hospitals knew about it. The first responders all knew about it. And pretty soon, whether it be firefighters zooming in from down the street or people coming from St. Joe's, a lot of people were coming by. Some even after they'd get tested would swing by and get a hot dog. And now it's turned out to be a thing. Word of mouth has spread in their favor and they're doing really well. And it's kind of a wonderful story. And they're really interesting people. And the dog sells. And the dog is authentic everything from Chicago, from the sausage to the relish, the buns, everything is exactly, I won't do my bad Sean Connery voice, the Chicago way. And go down, I guess, get tested, get a dog, do the whole thing.
So this is great. I mean, there's also a couple other places down there, Frankie's Bagels and
that's right.
The Boardroom. Is that right? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, and it's great because Frankie's Bagels are the closest to a New York bagel, the traditional New York bagel. So you've got these homesick Chicagoans and homesick East Coast / New Yorkers who are all now flocking to Redwood Acres to feel alive again. And the other good thing is that everybody who goes to this hot dog stand, because they're largely medical and emergency professionals, they know to wear their masks. Yeah. They don't show up crowding the stand. They have everything set up so that you don't touch anything. Everything is completely to code and keeping everybody far apart and masked and all that stuff. And you're not going to get a lot of nurses breaking that protocol, right? Which is good.
Well, so in our final minutes, speaking of masks and protocol, do you want to just give like a little mini summary of your perspective on that?
Yes, I need everybody to wear their damn masks. I have a very ranty editorial this week, which is in my mom voice, which I got through to with the help of my teenage son, who helped me find the most annoying things I say to him and the most annoying tone. And it turns out it is mostly this. Wear your damn mask. Put it on. Stop thinking about only yourself. And if I find out that you haven't been wearing your mask, there are going to be consequences. But essentially, I am just trying to urge people to use the common sense that their mothers gave them, hopefully, at least through genetics, to just wear the mask, make it possible for the people who are serving you at various retail outlets to do so safely, and don't do this Shasta rodeo garbage. This
You're
is
not
why
special.
this is why we can't have stage 3, this kind of behavior. Do you want stage 3? Because this is not how we get stage 3. So wear masks.
Well,
I'm
thank you,
watching David.
Yeah, I appreciate this. I mean, I'm out there with my mask, and I know that most people are, but most is nowhere near all. And I actually do hear from people sometimes like, do we have to do this? I see some people not doing it. But yeah, people, please be safe.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you, Jennifer. This is great. That's going to do it for this week. North Coast Journal is on newsstands and also available online. Pick one up, stay informed, and stay safe. And Jennifer, thank you so much. We'll see you again next week.
Thanks, David. Have a good week.
Don't make me come back there.